in politics, they are no permanent enemies. They are only, they may be only permanent. They are no permanent also friends. They may be permanent interest. And they say, ours in politics means a lot. Is this what we can say, especially about Walter Muzembi? Recently, he posted on his X account that 2 days in politics can be a lot, alluding to the relations which have all of us sour between Elon Musk as well as Donald Trump. Now we hear that Walter Muzembi is in Zimbabwe and he paid a courtesy call to Emmerson Mnangagwa. Visuals of that have not surfaced so far. I'm interested in seeing the visuals. Now, what is the meaning of this, especially to Walter Muzembi and the former G40 members? I think that is the question I will interrogate with. And also, does it mean Walter Muzembi is submitting himself to the faction of Emmerson Mnangagwa? Was this choreographed? Taking into consideration that one of the prophets in Zimbabwe, we know prophets, most of these prophets in Zimbabwe, they are very, very controversial. He once gave, it was some kind of an advice to Emmerson Mnangagwa to allow Walter Muzembi and others to return. What is the meaning of this? I think I will be unpacking this and more to take away the confusion. Greetings and welcome on your lovely channel this morning with Onipani Global News. If you're watching us for the very first time, please do remember to press the red or black subscribe button so that next time when we beam live, guess what? You become the very first one to watch us. I think as much as we saw Walter Muzembi as well as Xavier Kasukwere and Professor Jonathan Moyo at one point rallying behind Nelson Chamisa, I think what was in their mind was that Nelson Chamisa was going to beat Emmerson Mnangagwa. It was a desperate attempt to return to Zimbabwe. It wasn't, it did not mean these individuals have reformed from being ZANU PF members. Once a ZANU PF member, always a ZANU PF member. They are not in Zimbabwe at the moment because they are scared of Emmerson Mnangagwa. Individuals such as Professor Jonathan Moyo, Xavier Kasukwere, of course, at one point, Xavier Kasukwere wanted to contest Emmerson Mnangagwa, and Mnangagwa blocked him. We know that attempts was made also by the former G40 members to go to the African National Congress, especially when Ace Mahashule was the Secretary General of the African National Congress, and they were seeking ANC's help to actually have a dialogue with Mnangagwa, and the intention was for these to return back to Zimbabwe, and most probably to return back to ZANU PF and have some form of love back of some sort. Now, we hear that Walter Muzembi is currently in Zimbabwe. He met with Emmerson Mnangagwa already. The Mnangagwa faction trolls, they are having the nice time of their lives, obviously trying to link what is currently happening with also the success of Mnangagwa being the president post the 2-year term constitutional limit. Is that a possible dream? We'll also be talking about that. But in my humble submission, what is happening, obviously behind the scenes, especially when Xavier Kasukwere was blocked to contest, Walter Muzembi thought maybe they were going to play around with that, maybe work with the retired General Chwenga faction to actually go back to Zimbabwe. These are people who have invested a lot in Zimbabwe, who have their families in Zimbabwe, who thought they would never go out of Zimbabwe, and definitely they are looking for that day to return. I think we've seen individuals such as Professor Jonathan. I've said it. To trust an individual like Professor Jonathan Moyo is actually putting your life on the line. These people would never change from being ZANU PF. In fact, they are the same with Emerson Mnangagwa. In simple terms, we have said that ZANU PF in its entirety will always be ZANU PF. So definitely these individuals are negotiating for their safety. Most probably they have been having a dialogue with Mnangagwa, and we know that they have been running throughout the SADC region seeking for help to ask for an apology so that they may return to Zimbabwe. And it appears this is somehow to some degree working, but the question lies, will Mnangagwa forgive individuals such as Professor Jonathan Moyo? We know what Professor Jonathan Moyo did to he has been ravaging Emerson Mnangagwa, but he later on issued an apology of which Chris Mutswangwa accepted that apology alongside other former ZANU PF members who got on the wrong side of the factions when succession dispute was in motion. Now, so the fact that Walter Muzembi is going to Zimbabwe, I think it's quite clear that he may be seeking to strike a deal between himself as well as the faction of Emerson Mnangagwa. But is that a good deal to be struck as long as they would not be converted into Zwikanangas and found themselves singing the 2030 mantra, something that is against the other faction? Because if that's the case, they may return in Zimbabwe for a very, very short period of time, only to actually go back in exile again. So what is happening is an attempt for a love back, but in my humble submission also, it's quite difficult for a man like Mnangagwa to forgive someone who betrayed him. And definitely here they are playing with fire, in my own view. Mnangagwa is a highly deceptive man. He may actually say, no, come back, my brothers, I'm as soft as a wool. He has spoken such words, but is he soft as a wool? I think everybody now has a clear understanding of who we are dealing with. So we may see Jonathan Moyo and others going back to Zimbabwe, but to come back, some of them, it may be their last chance on this Mother Earth, because I don't see Mnangagwa forgiving them. Obviously, a statement would be issued that they have been forgiven, and I don't see Mnangagwa using them politically, because I mean what they have said and what they have done is quite unforgivable to that man. That man is not a forgiving man. Obviously, he would try to use, before Xavier Kasukwere, he is in Zimbabwe most probably because of the invite that has been done by Mnangagwa. And I must attest that before that invite was actually done, Mnangagwa may have already calculated. And these individuals, they know themselves that they are taking a risk. They have actually done a lot of things to try to destabilize Emerson Mnangagwa. Now I think they are trying to kick in this principle. If you fail to beat them, you have no alternative but to also join them. So that is the principle that they are applying. But to the very, very dangerous man who is highly cunning and deceptive, it may be the end of their political career, at worst their lives. So it's a risk maybe that they are ready to take, because it's very, very cold out there. Once you were at the top and then all of a sudden seeking asylum in a foreign country, it may be reasonable for the people of Zimbabwe, for former opposition political party members, but not someone who has been a minister enjoying all the privileges that comes with being a minister in Zimbabwe, benefiting out of the corruption that was taking place during the tenure of Robert Gabriel Mugabe, and living large. Individuals such as Xavier Kasukwere and so forth operating companies without even paying taxes. So going outside the country for this long and having tried numerous initiatives to remove Emmerson Mnangagwa, but failing. And you can see that all these attempts were selfish attempts. It doesn't mean that these individuals politically have actually reformed. So it's like what we are doing when we are analyzing the Blessed Geza revolution. I have said, of course, people want some form of a change, but it's quite difficult to actually predict that they will give that necessary change that is needed in Zimbabwe, because we need an overhaul of the entire system in Zimbabwe in order for that country to begin working for everybody. Are they prepared to do so? I don't foresee that. Now, will this happen to ZANU PF factionalism? I can attest to you that nothing changes. In my view, nothing changes. In fact, this will actually fuel it. I mean, I've seen the ZANU PF trolls trying to use the fake account of Blessed Geza to give an impression that Blessed Geza is regretting having actually been used by retired General Chiwenga. So that is a fake account. Ignore that. And also, I'm still ascertaining even this story of Walter Muzembi, whether it's a real story, because knowing ZANU PF of Emmerson Mnangagwa for what it is, it should have parachuted pictures. But it's a story that we are hearing. There is speculation that Walter Muzembi may have decided to return in Zimbabwe. We will begin to comment more, especially when we see him really in Zimbabwe, when we see pictures surfacing and him confirming that, especially on his X account. Thank you very much for watching us. If you're watching us for the very first time, please do remember to press the red or black subscribe button so that next time when we beam live, you become the very first one to watch us. Do you love gospel music? I will be releasing my album very, very soon. And if you do love gospel music, please go and like or follow my channel. That is Kronipani Digital Music. Search for that channel. Please do subscribe on that channel. A new album for 2025 is coming. So if you want to be the first one to get hold of it, make sure that you are logged on also to that other channel. You can financially support this channel by pressing the join button and be part of our members who are the heartbeat of this channel. You can equally do so by pressing also the thanks button and send us stars.